Cypress Financial Group presents the Retirement Roundtable podcast with John Scallan. Get more at cypressfinancial.net. Now, let's get to the show.
My name is Mark Owens, and John, I know it's been a week, but the celebration continues. How about them Tigers?
Man, they are still swinging from the chandeliers in Baton Rouge. Chandeliers, door handles, whatever it is. But
the bars.
Again, it's it never gets old looking at this dynasty, if I can put it that way. These young men who are not only coached about how to play top-notch baseball, but there's a culture at the university, especially, in these athletic programs about a lot about life, how to grow up, how to be a man, how to care, how to be a good teammate, how to support each other in good times and bad. It's just so much more than the X's and O's. But man, it is incredible to bring home another natty for this group of young men and the coaching staff, for the whole state, for that matter.
And John, I think I'm getting older because it's no secret. I'm a big Georgia Bulldog fan, but we got bounced from the tournament pretty early. But again, where I think the maturity in me comes out, I'm a big baseball fan. So to watch what these kids, these students have done, I get excited for them. It's like the dad in me comes out, and I'm super happy for them to have this success, to have this moment. Yes, I'd rather it would have been red and black on that field, but you know what, John? I'm happy for you and Tiger Nation as well, so congrats on that.
How would you like to be the coach of Coastal Carolina who got tossed in front of tens of millions of viewers?
Yeah.
That added a little color, should I say, to the first inning.
Yeah. It was
interesting call for sure.
It was fun. Speaking of Louisiana, and we'll get talking about retirement strategies here in just a couple of minutes. Now, it's no secret now. We're full transparency here on the Retirement Roundtable. Of course, Southern Louisiana, that's where John Scallan and the team at Cypress Financial, that's who they serve. I am here just north of Atlanta, and we have a walk-ons restaurant, which was bred out of Louisiana, Southern Louisiana. A couple of LSU basketball player walk-ons.
Yes, it was.
We're about to have our first location at the Battery Atlanta, the home of the Atlanta Braves, and I've had the opportunity to work with them just a little bit over the past couple of weeks, getting people excited, talking about the store and the menu, and they had a friends and family event last weekend, and I was talking to one of the managers, and they said, so to get ready, we pulled all the tables and chairs off the dining room, and we made everybody order from the bar. I was like, well, that seems like you're putting all your servers and your bartenders in the weeds. And she goes, that's exactly what we did. We wanted to stress test our bar staff. I thought, man, that is a great way to train in the restaurant industry. But John, then I started thinking, you do the same thing. You can stress test our retirement portfolio to see what works and to see what needs adjustments.
Mark, that is exactly correct. Thank God that we have state-of-the-art software. I mean, I'd like to tell you that I can run all these scenarios with my marker and the whiteboard, but the world has changed. Financial plans have changed. What we bring to the table are a number of different just superb ways to stress test, to analyze portfolios. I mean, we talk a lot about Morningstar reports. Mm-hmm. We talk a lot about the retirement analyzer. I mean, some of the tools that we use, there's a product called Riskalyze. There's another product called Nitrogen. And basically what these software programs do is they literally run thousands of scenarios that have happened in the past, dips in the market, bull runs, bull markets. These tools that we bring allow us to really stress test a portfolio in many, many different ways. When you hear us on the show talking about a portfolio X-ray, a retirement analyzer, believe me when I tell you, this information that we put into your hands, it's worth its weight in gold when it comes to analyzing what your retirement looks like, analyzing how you can de-risk it, analyzing how, if there is another what we call black swan event like 2008 or the pandemic or 2022 when both stocks and bonds, backed off, these are the tools that we can give you to help you build an all-weather portfolio that's going to last, quite frankly, for 30 years in retirement.
504-732-1001. So as couples prepare for retirement, I want you to hear the story. This came out of CBS this morning. They've been following couples preparing to retire, and they featured a couple, Chu and Alicia Gomez. They're out of Boston. And after April's 20% market pullback, here's what she said about her experience.
I feel like I'm on a roller coaster. You just hope that if we're going to be on the downturn now, will we be on the upturn when we decide to retire?
So they're 57, John. They're 59 years old, 57 and 59. They still want that growth. But do they have to be on this market roller coaster at this point in their life? I mean, is there really a way to participate in market gains without feeling like you're going to lose your shirt every time that there's a downturn?
Mark, this is exactly why I get so excited about what we do. I mean, the answer is absolutely not. You do not have to choose between growth and sleeping at night. Mark, there are specific financial instruments designed precisely for this situation. We're talking about structured products. We're talking about certain types of annuities that give you what I call, let's call it asymmetric returns.
You are taking me to class, John Scallan. Asymmetric. Break that down for me.
Mark, here's how it works. Let's say the S&P had a great year and goes up to 15 or 18%. We've witnessed, a lot of that over this past decade. Mm-hmm. What happens with these products is you will capture, say, up to 12% of that gain through a structured note or through a fixed indexed annuity with what we call participation rates. But here's the beautiful part. You get to participate in the upside, not the full upside, but again, up to 10, 12%. But guess what? If the market drops by 25%, your portfolio does not experience any of that downturn.
But John, that sounds great. But there's always a catch. What's the catch?
Well, Mark, the catch is simply you are giving up some of the unlimited upside potential for guarantees that you'll never lose the money to market downturns. Look, let's just look back to 2024 and 2023. These gains were north of 20% in the S&P 500. So for clients in those 2 years who had a fixed indexed annuity tied to the S&P 500, remember the S&P hit north of 20%. The gains were capped at 12% on some of these products. Think about the year before, 2022. The S&P 500 was down 19%. For the clients, consumers, listeners to this show who had structured products or fixed indexed annuity, their loss was absolutely zero.
Okay, John, so paint this picture for me as a couple coming to see you. So hypothetically, a couple comes to see you in this same situation. How does it all play out?
All right, hypothetically, let's say that I've got, let's say a 63-year-old husband, 61-year-old wife, both ready to retire. They had, let's call it, $600,000 in a traditional 401k. Every time the news mentioned market volatility, they'd call their advisor in a panic. Mm-hmm. Well, what you would do in this situation, you would move a portion of those 401k assets into structured notes, into fixed indexed annuities, just a part of it.
So how would that change things for their overall plan?
Night and day, Mark. When the market had a rough patch, instead of these clients calling their advisor worried, they would call in and say, hey, we just planned a cruise. And on the flip side, they would know that they're still participating in market growth, but they're sleeping, they're resting easy at night, knowing that they have a diversified plan with different buckets of money doing different things. I mean, here's your takeaway. If checking your account balance makes your heart race or you feel it in your stomach, there are modern financial tools specifically designed to eliminate that stress while still growing your money. Structured notes, annuities, these are not your grandfather's investments. These are sophisticated strategies for people who want growth without the drama.
Growth without the gut punch of a volatile market. Is that fair to say?
Very well said, my friend.
I learned from
Very
you.
well.
504-732-1001 or online at cypressfinancial.net. So as we're talking about building wealth, this was interesting. It came from Investors Business Daily. They published their blueprint for turning your portfolio into what today called a juicy retirement paycheck. By the way, juicy, their words, not mine. A juicy retirement paycheck. So here's the game plan. They say, park cash in money markets. Roll your 401k into annuities. Use bonds for steady income and keep stocks for growth. John, here's my question. Is that actually good advice, or is it just juicy, generic financial magazine fluff?
Well, Mark, here's the problem with that advice. It's like telling someone to make a great gumbo without giving them the recipe. I mean, sure, you know you need some roux, some seafood, but without the right proportions and technique, you're not getting anything close to what you really want or what makes sense to your specific financial portfolio.
All right. So if we're talking food, we're talking recipes. What's the real recipe? What does a properly constructed retirement income strategy really look like?
Here's what we do at Cypress, Mark. You know, instead of throwing generic advice at people, we build what I call retirement income plans. Think of it like a 3-engine airplane. If one engine has problems, you've still got 2 others keeping you in the air.
All right. Well, I'm not letting you get away without this one. Break that down for me. 3 engines. What do they involve?
All right, so let's say engine number 1 is your never worry money. That's your emergency cash, money markets, CDs, again, things that have returns. They're not a dead asset. Actually, even better than a CD, we have a short-term bond model, and at the moment has done 6.5% this year. And that money you can get your hands on or whenever you want. It's 100% liquid. Okay. Engine 2, it's your what I call steady Eddie income. Think dividend stocks, municipal bonds, and income annuities that pay you every month like clockwork. And here's engine number 3. Let's say this is your, let me be creative here, your growth guardian money. That's where we use these structured products and strategies that we just talked about earlier.
Okay, so never worry, steady Eddie, growth guardian. It's not just about having different investments, John. It's about having different purposes.
Exactly. And here's where most people mess this up. Some advisors as well. They put everything in one bucket and they kind of hope for the best. But when you're retired and you need $5,000 a month to live on, you don't want to be forced to sell stocks during a market crash to pay your electric bill.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, John. I'm sorry for interrupting, but you're basically creating multiple income streams.
Mark, again, right on. I mean, I've got clients pulling $3,000 monthly from Social Security, $1,200 from an income annuity, $800 from dividend stocks, and $500 from bond interest. That's $5,500 per month in predictable monthly income without touching their principal. And here's the key. Don't just accumulate assets. Let us help you engineer income streams. Most people spend 30 years building a pile of money, then they really have no idea on how to turn that pile of money into a reliable paycheck. That's where professional planning makes all the difference.
At the end of the day, John, income is the outcome that matters the most in retirement. 504-732-1001. And John, this is fun, kind of fascinating, but starting next year, they are discontinuing the penny. I'm sure you've heard of this because it cost 2 cents to make 1 penny.
Wait a minute. Governments don't do inefficient things like that, do they?
Government way of thinking. So it got me thinking about what you do. So what are some of the outdated strategies that just like spending 2 cents to make one? What are some of these strategies that you see that just don't make financial sense anymore?
Yeah, great analogy, Mark. There are definitely some, quote, pennies in the retirement world, meaning strategies that cost, I think, more than they're worth.
So what do you see most common, I guess, the mistakes that adults make?
I mean, the biggest one off the top of my head is keeping everything in a traditional 401k without any tax diversification. I mean, 20 years ago, that might have worked, but you're setting yourself up for a massive tax bill when you're forced to take distributions.
Good call on that one. 401k strategy, always top of the mind. What else should we be watching for?
Old insurance policies that have terrible cash value growth. Listen, for anyone out there, clients, listeners, listeners who have other advisors, these old life insurance policies and outdated annuity contracts without modern benefits, really, those are big ones. Investment allocations that haven't been reviewed in 5 years. I mean, if your strategy hasn't evolved with the times, it might be costing you more than it's helping. Here's an action step. If your retirement plan hasn't been reviewed in 3 years, it is absolutely time for a checkup. Financial strategies should evolve just like technology. I mean, most people wouldn't use a flip phone today, so why use a flip phone in retirement?
So when you sit down with somebody, John Scallan, an adult brings you their portfolio, how often do you find, is it a majority of adults getting close to retirement, or do people have a good grasp? What percentage would you say of people are using outdated methods, or you can tell they just haven't updated their portfolio in years?
I mean, Mark, it's all over the board. I had a listener, an executive, in the medical field, a listener to this show. We recently got a chance to meet this gentleman. Listen, he knew exactly what he wanted. His plan was tight. He had his arms around his investments. We gave him some ideas that I think were in line with his kind of philosophy to be a little bit more conservative as he's moving into retirement. And then we have folks who come in here, throw a big stack of paper on the desk and say, hey, I get this stuff in the mail. I really don't look at it. What do you think? Yeah. So it's everywhere in between. But again, it is never too late. It is never too often to sit down, do a review, and make sure that your investments align with, number one, where are you today in terms of being close to retirement? And number two, how do you feel about risk? Never a bad time to call Cypress Financial at 504-732-1001. Let us do a no obligation portfolio X-ray to make sure you're prepared for this next incredible chapter of your life.
Investment advisory services offered through Cypress Financial Group, a registered investment advisor firm. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities offered through Cypress Financial Group, John Scallan, Louisiana Insurance License Number 1064997. The firms are separate entities. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company and are not offered by Cypress Financial Group. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties.